meeting of the Henderson City Council to order at 6 p.m. on this 8th day of July 2025. I declare a quorum is present and declare that the notices have been legally posted according to the Open Meetings Act. Would you please stand for our invocation led by Reverend Weatherton, and then that will be followed by the pledges by Councilman Jackson. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Ms. Jimerson, are there any citizens' comments turned in? Okay. All right. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Oop, I just jumped right over that, didn't I? What about council and staff? Do we have any announcements that we would like to make at this time?
Okay, hello everybody. So I'm actually from Van Zandt County. This is something that we have already passed in our county. This is something that you can choose to do with us, just so you kind of know where we're going. So you kind of get context of what we're going into. So I know that you'll have some battery energy storage systems coming in as well as we do. And so this is about safety. Oh, sorry, little kids out of breath. Okay, so 391 Sub-Regional Planning Commission. It's a part of local government code. So for those that don't know, this was actually put in by legislation because it was very evident that there were a lot of entities that were overreaching into our agricultural land, into our rural areas. And incidentally, that's what we're seeing a lot of with the solar, wind, and batteries. There are currently 3 million acres of projected land set to be consumed for solar, wind, and batteries. But they are targeting unincorporated rural areas because there are less restrictions. It's a lot harder to go into Dallas than it is into an unincorporated area. So this is the actual law that exists. It creates an entity that has power within itself. So this encourages and permits local government units to form this commission in reference to plans for future development, including needs for agricultural land. It includes impacts to health and surroundings for those of the families and for progression of the community. So basically what you're doing with this is you're just ensuring citizen safety. And we'll kind of go into that a bit further, but I want you to kind of understand the purpose of this is for the health, safety, and welfare and concerns of the citizens. It does not give you power over your neighbors. It doesn't take away power from you. This allows them to coordinate with state and federal agencies in reference to safety, welfare, and concerns of the residents within. So when you look at this, it covers incidents. For instance, this is a very old community. It's a beautiful community. I went and ate at Cotton Patch a minute ago. You'll have beautiful photos of your history in that building alone. You can tell by the history of the buildings. It's beautiful here. And there are a lot of historical values within your community that this allows you to protect those. And another, it allows you to get involved into the planning and the progression of that build so that every step of the way you can reassure those within your community that they are safe. So if they're concerned about this or that, you can say, oh, we have this from the company, or we have this from them saying that we know that you're safe because X, Y, Z, okay? Safe from what? So we talk about solar, we talk about wind, we talk about batteries. They bring a lot of tax revenue to the community. We know this. Millions of dollars of tax revenue, assuming you don't give an abatement. But even then, there's a lot to that. We know that it generates a lot, but most people don't consider what that may impact. And even if you do get that revenue, it's important that you ensure citizen safety. That is your role. Everybody in this room wants our children safe. I think that goes without saying. So the reason I bring that up is because it is known that battery energy storage systems cause contamination. There is proof in multiple entities from arsenic, lithium, barium, and others being found in water sources and land, and people even testing positive for lithium poisoning in their blood. So basically what you're saying is you're asking them, are you sure this is the right location next to this school? Because if you try to round up a whole bunch of third graders and get them out of a building because there's toxic gases in the air, how certain are you that you can do that quickly and safely? And these do require evacuation. These do require emergency shutdown when they go into off-gassing. So if you don't know what off-gassing is, it's where one battery after the other catches fire. And it releases up to 7 different types of toxins between hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen cyanide, arsenic. You get where I'm going. And you have to have a hazmat team show up and determine what the which chemical it is and how far to evacuate. On average, it's about 2 miles evacuation and an additional 10 miles of indoor lockdown at that point is what you're looking at. So you're looking at a minimum of a probably 15-mile range that you have to get people safe. So a lot of times we're seeing them next to schools, we're seeing them next to water sources. For instance, in Van Zandt County, they're building it right next to the Lacey Fork Reservoir, which is for Cedar Creek Lake. So if Cedar Creek Lake is contaminated, then Henderson County would be impacted, for example, because part of that runs through your area. And if it does, it not only affects your water source, it affects your other recreational incomings, your funds for those that go out on the recreation of the lake. They can't do that if it's toxic, right? And so these are proof of that. So you see this 3 miles of dead fish, you have dead walruses and seals. Livestock had a significant case of stillbursts, as did goats, sheep, and the like. And for those that don't know, if you're a rancher or farmer, you know that stillbirth doesn't come from genetics. It comes from environmental, what they eat, what they breathe, what they drink. So this QR code over here on the right, this actually takes you to the lab reports. There is an entire website on lab reports that tells you the 20 plus cases of water they tested, the protected sloughs testing. It tests the environment, the land, the people. All that is on that QR code for Monterey Bay. And it gives you all their test reports that show you how dangerous these contaminants really are. And they're still uncovering just how dangerous. So again, your role would be to coordinate, for instance, with TCEQ and say, we're next to this water source. Is it really safe? Can you give me what the reports are? Because this water report says that this distance is impacted. Can you ensure my citizens are safe with this water impact? So on top of that, you can form this with any entities. So usually you can do 2 counties, 2 cities, or a city and a county, a special district and a municipality. There are multiple areas that it can join this, but it's based off of the Council of Government Regions, which are established by the governor. So for instance, Henderson County is in the same COG region as Van Zandt County and as Smith County, right? So you can join with any of those entities or sub-entities to coordinate with state and federal and government agencies. And it does this, you can do this by going through TCEQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Public Utility Commission. You can go through Federal Energy Reliance Commission, really any government or state agency. So if they're a government body or if they are a state agency, you can coordinate with them. One of the things that we're sitting here thinking about right now is in their reports, they're talking about how, like this is from the legislative report from this last session. They stated that battery energy storage systems attract lightning strikes. So a government agency that could potentially follow the line of lightning strike, tornadoes, and things like that would be the National Weather Service. They are a government agency. They can check the patterns of that area to say, is this really in the right path for these X amount of batteries, right? So this allows them to do that by voting. You vote. So what you do is you have what? So 6 members here. So 4 out of 6. If you have majority vote and you say, we want to ensure citizen safety, we want to vote to join, that's it. You sign an ordinance or a resolution if you're county or city, or any other means. So you can do contracts, you can do things like that that are specifically stating that we agree that we want to work together to ensure citizen safety, or however you create the bylaws. We have one started. You can review it. You can say, is this the right bylaws? Do we want to add anything? Do we want to amend anything? It is then voted by those that have joined together to say, this is what we agree to go under, and then you move forward. So this can be in reference to public utility, land use, water supplies. And if you see here, it also says open items or open spaces and other items relating to the commission's general purposes. This is key to me because I feel like a lot of time we hear it's private property. It's private property. Well, your rights end where mine begin. That is a common phrase when it comes to property rights. And here's the thing is, I told you about those damages. Those don't just hurt those on that property. They hurt anybody within that 15-mile radius. So you can do what you want with your land. You want to build a chicken coop, you want to build a barn, it's not going to hurt me outside your boundary. But if you're putting in toxic chemicals, which is what these are known toxic chemicals, they cannot be left. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Superfund site, but that term is known for a reason. A Superfund, what that would look like is you have a private entity that decides to build toxic properties, being a battery storage system, on their property. It cannot be left to dilapidate. It cannot be left behind. It has to be cleaned up. Well, if they build under an LLC, limited liability, and they shut that down, who's now responsible for that cleanup? The landowner. To give you a context of price, like just going off of ours, a $100 million build on average is a $300 million decommissioning remediation, meaning that that landowner has to have a starting cleanup cost of $300 million. He likely can't afford it, so the county or city is who that falls on. You now have to clean that up at your dime, which you probably can't afford $300 million either. So what happens is EPA, being as nice as they are, will step in and clean it up for you. But that's when they create your county or city as a Superfund. Everybody in your county or city will have to pay that back, including you. If you live within this jurisdiction, you will be responsible for cleaning that up. And you will be marked as a Superfund site until it is deemed cleaned. So if a toxic runaway does occur, that will be a much longer time, and you still have to clean that up too. And this is something I put on here because it says, whenever there is a conflict between human rights and property rights, human rights must prevail. Human rights being safety. Knowing that your generational land, your future generations, your future is safe. That's all we're saying. We're not telling them not to build. That's not the case. There's just a lot of things that are moving in ways that aren't quite adding up. And to give you context of that, in Van Zandt County, if you haven't seen it on the news yet, we are not allowing any batteries in our county. It has already been written, it is stopped. They are currently 3 going on 4 months behind on their project because we asked them to verify the state fire standards and codes. Nothing else. Fire standards and codes said, provide us proof that you have a site-specific emergency plan. Provide us what your XYZ is. You have an egress and a degress of X amount. It's in the fire codes, the NFPA 855. I'm sure your fire chief knows that one pretty well. And they couldn't provide it. They couldn't ensure our safety because they couldn't even provide us proof of the standards and codes. There are laws available to us, including the 391. Now, the 391 consists of a 2/3 ratio. It can be kind of altered a bit, but it's a 2/3 ratio. So if there's 6 here, you could have at least 2 elected officials and 1 citizen join this commission. Or you can increase that number. You could do 4 elected officials and 2 citizens. You just have to maintain a 2/3 ratio. So for instance, it's currently my judge and my commissioner and myself, for context. That may grow later, but that's the starting point. And you basically just get together, and think of it as any other group, right? So you get together, you decide to join, and then you have your note taker, your secretary, your treasurer, and then you have votes and agreements. Majority votes win, how you're moving forward. You determine how you're going to write letters and who they're going to go to, and you discuss, for instance, with TCEQ, we have concerns next to the fact that it's next to this watershed for Cedar Creek. It's literally at 1,900 feet, which is about a quarter mile. It's not very far whenever there's proof over 3 miles out of contamination, right? So right here, this is something I did put in here. So when it says that you can get a government unit on your commission, for instance, if TCEQ wants to put someone permanently on your commission to work hand in hand with you consistently, they can loan them to your commission, because you're a government body now in that commission. They can loan them to you and say, you're now working for this commission, you're still being paid by us. So it's on loan to you at your discretion to use as you need, but it is a consent, and it doesn't expire until you all agree that it expires. So if they choose to join you, you have to have a mutual agreement that y'all no longer need that person, right? This I wanted to make sure you had. This is actually Hill Country Energy Sub-Regional Planning Commission, this website right here. This is Kendall and Kerr County. Now, I know y'all know what's going on in Kerr County right now. How could we not know, right? Incidentally, they are also fighting the lithium there, if you don't know. They have a 391 commission already formed between those two entities. This is their website. I mentioned bylaws. You can go in there and view their bylaws. I mentioned the resolution and ordinances. You can go on there and look what that looks like for them. You can look at every document they've sent to ERCOT, every document they sent to TCEQ. You can even see the meetings they had with TCEQ. I've been in their meetings, and I've even been in a direct meeting with the president of ERCOT for them, okay? There's a lot of things that this can do. So to give you context of successful cases with this, you may not remember, there was a big incident way back when where they were building the Trans-Texas Corridor. It was going to go from Mexico all the way up to Canada. It was going to consume about 300,000 acres of Texas land, right? Most people don't know why it didn't get built, but it was actually because of this commission. Trey Duhan, he's now the judge of Waller County, but Trey Duhan formed this commission and coordinated with TxDOT and EPA. So TxDOT was building it, and they were concerned about the destruction of the land, right? Makes sense. They reached out. EPA said, okay, TxDOT, come talk to us. TxDOT said, we don't want to do that. So now EPA is already involved. They're already coordinating with the agency. So TxDOT said, or EPA goes, oh no, you're going to do that. We're pulled their lawyers in. Well, now TxDOT really did not want to work with EPA lawyers. The only reason the Trans-Texas Corridor got stopped was because of a 391 Sub-Regional Planning Commission. Because EPA stepped in. Here's the thing, when you pull an agency in, you're not the expert, they are. If they step in and they see a problem with the water location, they see a problem with for instance, one of those things with ERCOT and PUC is the cybersecurity. Some of the sensors and the control systems have found from listed national security entities. They are a known national security threat. Going back to Van Zandt County, in ours, there's found that they have CATL software, CATL. CATL is a known national security threat according to congressional letters from 2023. On top of that, there is an unraveling evidence that there are multiple entities, up to 90%, that are using this software. There are multiple Reuters articles, there's White House documents telling you that these are national security threats. So you can coordinate with PUC in reference to their cybersecurity standards and say, we have concerns about the software within. If they find something that is a violation of national security, they take over. Your commission is still involved. You're still given information every step of the way because they got activated because of your commission, but you are now involved in critical choices. Does that make sense? You're not waiting around to find out what may happen. You know every step of the way. Your fire marshal, your fire chief, your police chief, whoever it may be, they can be involved every step of the way to know what is the emergency plan. How are we getting our people out? How are we keeping our children safe? That's all this does. It doesn't technically give you to step in and say, you can't do this. It says, hold on, let's put up a yield sign and say, is this the right location? Let's ask the experts. Because a lot of times, EPA, TCEQ, even Parks and Wildlife, if there's an environmental thing going on with bald eagles, for instance, those are all reactionary agencies. They handle aftermath situations. What this does is it gives you the ability to find out before something happens if something may go wrong. Think of it like the flood warning we all wanted Kerr to have, right? They should have had it. We should have known it was going to happen. You don't want to be those people that in the end you find out you could have done something and you didn't. And the thing is I have a spreadsheet. There's been more than 58 fires in under 5 years. That is why there were so many bills and laws going through this. This is why Trump is pushing back. This is why you're seeing a lot of pushback on renewable energy, because you have a lot of actors. There's some good actors, but there's a lot more that saw the money and they ran with it and they took advantage of a situation that was made available to them, because why wouldn't they? Capitalist, right? You want the money. So basically what I'm going to summarize, what you can do is you can vote to join Van Zandt County. You're in our COG region. We're looking for people to join us to ensure citizen safety, to ensure the future generation safety. We're not asking you to pay for anything. We're not asking you to go out of your way in crazy ways. We're going to ask you to work with us, to work with those state and federal agencies to activate the subsection of the law so that we can create that entity that investigates and coordinates to ensure citizen safety and welfare. Any questions? I threw a lot at you really quickly. I've never brought my kids with me, so I got a little nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, he's playing Minecraft Legos, actually.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And do you have, I know Cersei has some information on this, and he's not here tonight.
And I can provide you a lot more. I unfortunately have over 500 links, and I'm not exaggerating, in documents. And honestly, you can even call my judge and my commissioner directly. They were going to try to make it to not, engagements, meetings. But if you do want anything, we're happy to share with you what we have, including what we've already started.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? All right. Okay, thank you for coming. And our presentations, I'd just like to say this. I'd like to thank everyone that had a hand in our Freedom Fest that we just had, from the planning to the workers, before, after, all of that. I'd just like to say thanks to everyone that had a hand in it. I know the chief was wet with sweat. And whatever you did, I just like to say thanks for that. If you were there, I'd like to thank you for coming also. Any other comments or anything from the council? Okay, all right. We'll move on to our consent agenda. This consent agenda contains routine and non-controversial items. Are there any items that the council would like to move into regular session? If not, could I get a motion on the... All right, that motion was made by Ms. Juarez and second by Mrs. Martin. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll pass the consent agenda. Now we'll move on to our regular business session of our business meeting. We'll move to item number 3, and that will be consideration and possible action upon the second reading of ordinance 2025-05-01, rezoning the property from an R1 zone to a PD zone located on 900 East Main. Mr. Breitenberg.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, these items, of course, were presented to you last time. And of course, this is the second reading regarding ordinance 2025-0501, rezoning a property from an R1 zone to a PD zone located at 900 East Main Street. And I'm simply here to answer any additional questions.
council have any questions? All right, if there are no other questions, can I get I'd like to get a motion on that in a second. Strong and Ms. Juarez. That, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay. Item number 3 carries. All right, moving to item 4. Consideration and possible action upon the second reading of ordinance 2025-06-01, changing the zoning from low-intensity industrial to institutional for an application submitted by the City of Henderson to amend the zoning map on property owned by the Henderson Soccer Association located on FM 782. Mr. Breidenberg.
Yeah, again, this is a second reading. It's a procedural move on this particular piece of property to rezone it to institutional. So if there's any questions.
Motion was made by Mr. Strong, second by Mr. Jackson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5. Consideration and possible action of calling for the regularly scheduled council meeting to be held on August 7th, September 2nd, and September 9th, 2025. All right, could I get a motion for item 5? That motion was made by Mrs. Martin, second by Mrs. Juarez. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Item number 5 carries. Okay, moving to item 6. Consideration and possible action upon calling the 2 public hearings on the 2025-2026 proposed budget and proposed tax rate to be held on August 19th and September 2nd, 2025. Questions, council? If not, could I get a motion? Motion was made by Mrs. Juarez, second by Mr. Jackson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion, item number 6 carries. Okay, now we're down to our departmental reports. The council may deliberate and make any inquiries into any items listed in the departmental reports. Does anyone wish to do so at this time? Okay. All right. We will hear from Miss Karen at this time. Report.
You don't want to hear?
Do we have money?
No. He wouldn't do it? Well, I mean, Are all these people here for me? I didn't realize I was that popular.
I love spreadsheets.
Yes. This is numbers. Well, I had to walk my walk up. But is Cliff even? I was inspired by Cliff. It was going to be Abba doing money, money, money. Money, money, money. Maybe throw in there sunny, sunny, sunny. Took all my money, money, money. But no, okay. Now this is some of the reports, what y'all see each month, just trying to kind of maybe explain them a little bit more. This report branded us for me from the water department, so it shows what we're billing out for water and sewer and then our garbage collection. So this is what shows up on the water bills. And I mean, I do kind of start hoping for dryness in the summertime, just so we'll get a little bit more people sprinkling, using their sprinklers, get a little bit more revenue. But I don't want any fires. I don't want it to be too dry to where there's fires. But usually in the summertime, our money, the revenues do pick up a little bit because of the watering of the yards. And so this one's actually through May. June, we had a little bit of rain, so June's was not as big, but we'll see how it does in July and August. So that's what that is. Next is our hotel motel occupancy tax. These hotels, they self-report, so they send their money monthly. This has definitely started, picking up. Of course, during COVID, everything was shut down, so it took a couple years to get the tourism fund back up again. So you can see there the different hotels and the amount of money that they bring in. That Motel 6, there for a while when I first came here, they weren't bringing in that much, but they've done a lot of renovations, and so they have picked up their revenue. So I know tourism is thankful. This is the main source of revenue is from the hotel motel tax for the tourism, and then of course the Civic Center rentals brings in money for them. And then more numbers. This is bank reconciliations. Do these monthly as well. It just shows the different funds and the accounts that we have. Probably 30 or so bank recs each month. Of course, general fund being the biggest fund. And just scroll down through. If y'all have any questions, just let me know. But that's what, after doing the bank reconciliations for all of them, then the report that y'all see, the investment report, is where I get those numbers from after the bank reconciliations. And that's going to be the investment summary. We start out showing kind of where we started on all the funds, and then each month the changes. Of course, at the first of the year, our property taxes don't start coming in, our bigger amounts, until towards the end of December, and then of course January and February. So you'll see at the beginning, as far as the general fund, more negative amounts, and then as we get into January, February, more of our tax dollars start coming in. Then we get some positive numbers there. And so you can just that's just showing all the different funds, where we started, and then the changes each month, positive or negative, and then where we are right now as of May. And then the last one is just, I thought, interesting just to show you sales tax, because sales tax is, one of our, the bigger amounts for the general fund. And you can see there, we didn't know, when COVID happened in 2019, 2020, we really did not know what was going to happen. We thought, that the numbers most likely would go down just because of people having to stay in. But what happened was, thankfully, we did have like Walmart and Lowe's, and people got out and started doing a lot of projects themselves. And then I guess that's just continued. So you can see, like, even from 2019 to, in the 2024 will be 2023 to 2024, you know, we're up to 9 million. And hopefully this year, if our last 3 months are good, we'll hit the 9 million again. So I'm hopeful of that. This has changed more than like even the property taxes. Property taxes have stayed, you know, it hasn't really increased. We're kind of limited as to what we can, the amount we can go up on property taxes. And of course, a lot of that depends on how much new construction comes in. That's where we're hoping for Headco, you know, bringing in some new businesses. And, you know, when they do that, that helps us with our property taxes. It also helps with, you know, sales tax, and staying hopeful for that, the business park to start getting some businesses and just helping the city overall. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but apparently Ben Affleck, it's called The Accountant. He's apparently an angry accountant, I guess, because he has like a machine gun on the front of it. So tried putting my face on there, but I thought that might be too scary, so we didn't want to scare everybody. I mean, I'm not that mean.
Like to see it, I have it in my office.
Yeah, yes. For private viewing, you can see. I was trying to see if maybe she could take my abacus that I have in my office, and replace that with the machine gun, but you know, we weren't able to accomplish that, and so, and I was even gonna bring the abacus down and, you know, get some numbers from people and do some adding, and but that's kind of complicated too. I'm very thankful for calculators now. Heard that I was going to be here. I'm just so thrilled about this. I did even look up Three Stooges. There weren't that many Three Stooges stories about accounting. Maybe doing taxes. There was a little bit on doing income taxes, but so yeah, I love numbers. Not everybody does, but I do. Love it when it balances and all of that. So, and now, yeah, we're big into the budget now for the 25-26 years. So that's fun too, just meeting with all the department heads. So any questions on all of these numbers? Hopefully you don't have.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, sure. Hopefully y'all
Thank
don't have
you.
any
Thank you.
nightmares or anything like that.
Cliff will hate you, missed you.
All righty, let's see. Have any items for executive session? All righty, so I guess this comes down to Melissa's favorite time.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. So we are adjourned at 6:39. Thank you all for coming.